everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our daily update for Big Brother Canada 11. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today with Pooya. How you doing, Pooya?
I'm good, Taran. Yeah, the rebrand, it's going to feel weird. It's going to be weird to get used to. They gave us crumbs, Taran. We did talk when we got the first cast released initially, and we joked about it. It's going to be like 3-minute, 5-minute clips, 10 minutes tops. It's 2.5 hours, but is it 2.5 hours? That's what we're going to find out today.
Yeah. We look, we're here. There was a digital daily. I hate the name. Digital daily drop last night. 2.5 hours of what was definitely not uncut footage.
Nope.
We get a lawyer on this one. But we do have some things to talk about, and quite honestly, if anything, this podcast may be more important than ever because of just how uninterested most people are in sifting through 2.5 hours of nonsense and trying to figure out what's happening based on it, considering that our amount of context is so low. So we will do our best to walk you through what we saw in the drop. And what it's telling us about what's actually happening in the house so far. And this, despite potentially being called a daily update, will also not necessarily be daily, as it seems that the weekends will be without a drop from these things. So who knows?
Yeah, who said the weekends are the most important days of feeds? Was that us? Have we ever said that? Has anyone? Because apparently they're the ones that matter the least, Taran. No Saturday nights, no Sundays. That Monday drop better be fat, because if you're gonna compensate for 3 days worth of content, it cannot be this.
Who needs to see the fallout from nominations and veto and all that? Come on, we just need to see the days where the vote's already locked in.
Exactly, the fun stuff, the good part of feeds, Taran. Come on now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are here, in fact, just again to talk through what we saw. There's some amount of information we could glean from this, but most of it is still speculative, as there wasn't a ton. And I will say, like, straight up right away, it was not good stuff. The drop was boring.
Yeah, you know how the
good.
tagline of the season is a whodunit? This is the biggest whodunit, because you're literally looking for a needle in a haystack with this. It was 2 hours and 33 minutes, and most of it was filler. Most of it was garbled mess. And even the parts that were important, because we didn't have other context, you're still trying to piece together what exactly they're saying. There's important conversations, but they're not saying the names of people in some of them. So you still have to go off on hunches, which we don't know anything. So our hunches are more hunches than ever. It's rough out there.
Yes. And we will get into it as well, but kind of on top of all of the lack of actual information and context and all of that, it's looking like we might just have like a not great season on our hands.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Oh, God.
This cast is very light on the fans. Not a lot of fans in the cast, not a lot of people who really know the game. And I think that what we tend to see from that is big alliances, and especially when you cast about like 6 of the 8 guys are like broy dudes. 5 of them are now in a bro alliance, and so we'll talk through that as well. And that'll be the update.
Yeah, well, we'll try and be optimistic and find silver linings in this. But yeah, what we saw, it's kind of run of the mill. If you had looked at this cast and you had made some bold predictions, they wouldn't have been so bold. It looks to be pretty predictable. Like Taran said, not a lot of fans here, and we lost one of the very few fans last night, unfortunately, with Amal leaving for personal reasons. So already we're at 15, and the ratio of fan to not fan has dwindled.
Yeah. So we're here to talk through. We're going to be talking about March 8th, which was 2 days ago now. And I think it might have been day 5.
Day 5, yeah.
Or something along those lines. It's also tough to talk through exactly like when these things took place on the day. It seems as though the drop, the footage that we got started at around dinner time, but who knows?
Yeah, this isn't like, this is like Taran said, it's not uncut footage. It's definitely curated footage that is just not edited. But, this isn't BBUK where they're going to hit you with at least the timestamps of 11 p.m. We're not getting anything. We have no idea if these are all like sequential. There's not a lot we can go off of here.
Yeah. So let's talk some of it through then. We had we'll just as per usual touch on the important conversation, so we'll skip over things like dinner. There was an initial conversation between Claudia and Santina that was pretty meaningless, it seemed, in the very beginning of the drop. They're going to have another conversation later, which we will go into more detail about because they get into a little bit more detail, but for the time being, it does seem as though Santina not really giving much to Claudia overall. Santina, of course, is the HOH, so trying to figure out exactly where she stands is important in trying to determine, what might happen this week. The first really, meaningful conversation seems to come when Santina goes upstairs and talks to Hope, right near like the front door. And again, this is like we're piecing this together. So it's a strange conversation in that Hope seems very concerned. He says he's worried. He's not hearing things. He feels like he's not being told things. The vibe of this conversation is very off. It's very bad. It feels a lot like a lot of paranoia on Hope's end. And at the same time, he's being very like cagey with he's expressing it. Like, I don't know, like there are people in this house that are saying things, and I just don't know if I feel like I'm being included in them. People have come to me with alliances, but that's dumb of them because I've put all my eggs in one basket and I'm not changing that basket. I have an alliance. And she's like, what alliance? Are you willing to tell me who's in this alliance? And he's like, I'm just rolling with the guys that I'm with, and those are my people. And she's like, well, are you comfortable telling me those people? And he's like, I don't know. I just, I've got those people. And she says, well, there's people, do you feel comfortable with those people? Are they making you feel comfortable? He's like, well, I get that people can't make it obvious that they're with me, so I just hope that they know that I just hope they're doing everything that they're supposed to do, because then we'll be golden, right? We'll be fine. And she's like, I feel like you're not really telling me much.
It's riddles. They're talking in riddles, and she's trying to get as much out of them. Taran, to give the audience a reminder, Hope is the guy who, in his interview with Jed, answered everything with, I'm going to adapt. I'm just going to adapt. Sounds like you're pretty rigid, Hope. I don't know. Sounds like you want to just go with whatever you've got, and then you're also not willing to play the game with anyone else, and that's causing you to be paranoid. So I don't love what I'm seeing from Hope out the gate here from this little we saw.
Yeah. He eventually, when she says it doesn't feel like you're giving me much, tells her, look, I feel closest with you, with Jonathan, and with Rob. And he says he essentially implies that the people he's talking about that are making him feel uncomfortable aren't people, they're actually her. And he says that he feels like she's been ducking him all day. And she's like, that's not what I intended. I don't really feel like I understand what you mean by that. And he says, I feel like we're talking in code. And she's like, that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they're getting the points across to each other quite well. I don't think Hope realizes that Santina's the HOH and probably has to court a lot of people in the conversations, because as of this moment, noms have not happened, so that's still in the air. But I don't think Hope has quite picked up the game as I would have liked him to out the gate. It was interesting for him to mention specifically Jonathan and Rob, because the five guys and Fries are the three of them and Zach and Ty.
Yeah. Do we think that's their alliance name? Five Guys?
I don't think Wendy would let that happen. Big Wendy would be like, you sit down. You can be the Baconator and Fries, but not the five guys and Fries.
I mean, let's be real. Five Guys is vastly superior to Wendy's. So they should
You are
be
not
threatened.
wrong. You are not wrong.
All right. There's going to be some more clues as to what might be going on here with Hope a little bit later. So we'll come back to this. In the meantime, we're going to get a little bit more context from some of the, from a different corner of the house. Vanessa and Kuzi are going to be talking. Vanessa tells Kuzi that, now follow me here. Vanessa tells Kuzi that Santina, that Shanaya told Santina that she would put up Zach if she were in Santina's position. Hopefully you followed that.
So far, so good.
Kuzi is like, whoa, man, goes to show you. You think you're good with somebody. They say you've got your back. They're not going to put you up. We think we've got each other in that room, and then look at that. How do you know she won't pitch your name one day? Kuzi not pleased that Shanaya might want to target Zach because of an agreement that happened in a room. Now, we are going to kind of learn a little bit later that the room she's talking about is likely the bedroom that they are all sleeping in. They refer to the toucans
and the flamingo.
Flamingos, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a toucan on the door of one bedroom and a flamingo on the door of another bedroom. And at least one of these bedrooms seems to have made some kind of pact to stick together, not target each other, but the validity of that pact is very thin, it seems. So at first, Kuzi is kind of like, whoa, can't believe she would do that. But Vanessa seems to be a bit defensive of Shanaya. She's kind of like, well, I kind of like that Shanaya did this. Kuzi asks if Shanaya pitched the girls thing to Santina. Vanessa says no. She says, to me, the fact that Shanaya pitched for Zach to go up on the block means that she doesn't have allegiance to the boys, which means that Renee probably doesn't have allegiance to the boys either. They are linking Shanaya and Renee together. They seem to be a bit of a duo, a bit of a pair. And Kuzi likes the fact that they don't seem to have allegiance to the boys. Maybe she's interested in doing the girls thing. They had previously gotten the impression that those two were boys' girls. So this is exciting to them that maybe Shanaya and Renee are not boys' girls and may in fact be girls'.
I've been at this dance before. I've heard this happen. So yeah, that was very interesting to me with Vanessa, because then later Kuzi does bring up, well, if she was willing to bring that up in front of you, that's a good thing. So again, they're trying to feel each other out here. They're trying to figure each other out. But it is interesting because it sounds like with regards to the bedroom situation, that the toucan room is going to be where the two noms are going to be starting from. And I believe that puts them in the flamingo room, which will be important because, and we'll skip to this real quick because we really didn't see Daniel all night. We saw him in one scene where he said, I feel safe, and he was in the room with the flamingos on it. So I think that means that Daniel's in that flamingo room as well, trying to piece who's in what bedroom here.
Yes. That Kuzi says to Vanessa, oh, it's good that she said that in front of you. That means that maybe she feels like she can trust you. Have you talked to her yet? Vanessa said no. She said you probably should. Vanessa thinks they start talking about, who might have the most amount of influence over Santina as the HOH. Vanessa suggests that Zach or John Michael might have the most influence over Santina. Kuzi is a little skeptical of that. Vanessa, I think specifically of the John Michael portion of it. But they do agree that Zach perhaps could have some influence. Vanessa thinks especially Zach would have influence. They start talking about Zach. Kuzi thinks he's cocky. They're worried about him. He makes the rounds. He really talks and acts like he runs the place. And Kuzi says, a friend to everybody is a friend to nobody, specifically in reference to Zach. So that's how they feel about Zach. Now, to add a little bit of context from what we glean from the rest of this, drop is that these two are probably on the outs. This is probably an on the outs conversation. These two seem to be in the spot where it's kind of like they are recognizing that there are power players. They are not liking the power players, but they don't fully see what's happening and, are not really being included in important conversations and such.
Yeah, and trying to be in a position to maybe build something else up before it's too late, which feels right now that it's already a little too late. It feels like the train has left the station. So we'll see if they can muster anything up. But it was interesting to me I wanted to point out Kuzi, I would argue, probably the star of this daily, being probably the most around different people. And you get to see her talk to different people throughout the 2 hour and a half we got. But again, doesn't look like she's in a power position at all.
No. So Santina is going to talk to Zach. Santina, again, our HOH. She is trying to figure out where Hope's head is at because she just had that weird conversation with Hope and she's kind of confused about it. Zach says, you can't worry about this guy. I get it. He's emotional. He's immature. We just need to kind of deal with him. I've had to sit him down a few times and tell him that the things he's doing are putting a target on us. He says us to Santina as though there is an us that includes Hope. Hope then responds that she is loyal to you guys 100% and will do what they want. So again, we later find out that you guys means specifically, whether she knows it or not, Zach, Jonathan, Rob, Hope, and the other guy.
Rob.
I said Rob.
Ty,
yes.
Yeah.
So Santina is very much as they would probably describe it, in their pocket and doing the moves that they wouldn't want to do themselves, which is explicitly what they said. So happy that she won HOH and got it out of the bros' hands, right? Yay.
Yeah, I was telling Liana when we're watching them face off, I thought, listen, I know John Michael said to their face, I'm going to put guys up. I don't know if I trust that. Santina might be the better move. And we're here.
Yeah. So we got some more conversation. We got Renee talking to Ty. Now, in the episode, we saw Ty talking to Renee and Shanaya, kind of giving them some advice. And kind of saying that, like, hey, John Michael is a threat and this is what you should do. This is very much the vibe that I'm getting here. And this is a vibe that most of the guys are giving. These guys really, they feel untouchable. And in this conversation between Renee and Ty, Renee being the only person currently, like, definitely on the block, although the other people going on the block do know about it at this point. We'll get to that. Ty is very much in this sort of mentor role here. Very much like, I know what's up in this game, and I am telling you what to do. He says, you still need to be putting in work. He's, again, kind of like talking her through some things. She says she appreciates him being there for her. She says it's opening her eyes to a different thing. Even though it's early in the game, she wants to do her part. To me, again, this is like, we know from their conversations and some other conversations later that The guys are working to pull in, and we saw a little bit of this in the episode as well, working to pull in the women as extra numbers, and that's probably what she's referring to here. Some kind of side alliance that they've pitched to her that, is taking her away from the idea of perhaps an all women's alliance. He says to her, when I tell you to do something, it's not for shits and giggles. It's because even if you don't see the immediate benefit, down the line, it's going to benefit you in some way. So you should just do it. She says, which, by the way, if anybody tells you that in the Big Brother house, run from that person and target them. She says she already. So Renee says to Ty, Santina already told the nominees she's putting them up, right? And he says, yes. I'm not going to say much more than that, but yes. To me, right away, this implied there's a backdoor plan. The nominees have been told that they're going up on the block. The house is very quiet. And Ty, who is clearly in on whatever it is, knows that there's likely more to the story than just who's going up on the block initially. This honestly said a lot about Ty's position in the house. And if I'm Renee, I would be thinking about that, but who knows?
We talked about how, listen, someone coming in when a winner named Ty won 2 years ago, they're going to be in trouble. Remix. It might be a good position for him. It's looking good. Now, we'll talk about potentially who the noms are later, because I think if I took it correctly, I think I know one of them. I think we know one of them. We don't know the other one.
We know one of them for sure. We're not sure about another one.
Yeah, and then we might know who the backdoor plan is.
We do get pretty big indication that there is, in fact, a backdoor plan in place, and some hints about who that might be.
Yeah. And also, just to remind everyone, earlier when Vanessa and Kuzi were talking, they were like, yeah, Renee and Shanaya, they're close. They're probably not really working with the guys. This should be indicator number one that is already not the case.
So Kuzi is going to talk with John Michael, or JM, as they call him. She's wondering how he feels about Santina. He says she's saying she won't put him up, but you never know. Kuzi suggests that Daniel or Anika could potentially be targets for Santina, that she talked to Anika, and Anika felt like she was really grilled by Santina in her conversation. And as you know, the HOH conversation, essentially, she asked a lot of questions, and Santina to Kuzi was like, gave her nothing, which could be a bad thing for Anika, or could be a bad thing for Kuzi. And JM was like, yeah, I mean, she gave me nothing either. So Kuzi says she feels like she's tried many times with Santina to talk to her, to get her to say anything, and that she just never gets anything from her. JM says, total same. Like, I can't get through to this person. It feels like she always wants me to do all the talking, because he's like, yes, exactly. And so they are both pretty concerned, and they kind of go down this doom spiral of like, well, it would really suck if she turned her back on us and put us on the block. JM says, if I go up, I'm going to call her out for promising me safety and then going back on it. I'm here for good TV. I'm not here to play scared. If she's going to make that move, I'm going to go full force. And that's why it would be a dumb move. And they go on and on about how it would be a dumb move because it would make her look bad and all of this stuff, which, they're preaching to the choir. Obviously, to each other, it makes sense for them to not make that.
Yeah. And they both shared that sentiment that if I'm put on the block, I'm here to play the game. I'm not going to just sit and like sulk on it. So fireworks would be let go here. What was funny is they hit the Sabrina classic of, do you want good TV? Both got the reference. Like, that's sick. Immediately, John and clocks in John Michael's head. Oh my God, Shanaya looks like Rochelle. I'm going to like, hey, Shanaya, you remind me of Ro. Who's that? Rochelle. Who is that? From BB Canto. Oh, I haven't seen that season. Lost on Shanaya. So there you go.
Yeah. So we then get to the pool room with the pool table.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is this is what I think this season might become. You know that saying about like you need to learn history because if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. That's Big Brother. If you don't know Big Brother history, then you are doomed to repeat Big Brother history. There are literal bros always chilling at a pool table, just orchestrating everything. And people are saying like, oh, no, they're just hanging out. Oh no. I'm with them secretly. They have this whole thing going on. They have a whole plan, but I'm actually getting in with them. So I'm actually pretty sad. Like no fan of Big Brother will ever like think that, right? But if you don't know the show and you don't know Ro, you're you're doomed to repeat. So Hope, Rob, and Ty are in the pool room, and they're just kind of giving Hope a bit of a pep talk. Hope is explaining some things that are very confusing without context, and I will try my best to guess what this actually means. But basically, Hope says to them, to Rob and Ty, she told me she wants to work with me yesterday. I think she knows everything already. Uh, I think he's referring to Santina. I think
Mm-hmm.
that when he was talking to Santina about people coming to him with alliances and him already having alliances, he actually meant Santina coming to him with an alliance when he already had one. And he's concerned that Santina coming to him with an alliance was an indication that she already knows about the Bro alliance. When in reality, I think that she came to Hope with an alliance or some kind of let's work together because she's already been worked on by the other guys. And so she's like, hey, I want to work with you and Zach and Jonathan and all of these other guys. And he was like, whoa, you knew about the alliance, but really it was just them. They have her. And that's what Rob tries to explain to him, I think. Like, it doesn't matter what she knows. She's with us. And she's doing what we want her to do. So we're good. Rob says, and here's the thing, we're each playing our part. We have created something beautiful here. And Rob is doing his best, like, I'm the Enzo, I'm the glue impression
Yeah.
as he's, like, look, we got to keep the structure together. It's all going to be great. They're pep talking Hope, like, you just got to chill. It's all good.
Yeah. If there's one thing bros are gonna do in the house is act like they've created the bros bonding exercise for the first time every time. They really like Rob really feels like he's cracked the code here. He's invented something new. And can I blame him? When look how the way Ty and Rob are carrying themselves throughout this daily already on its own is a big indicator of how comfortable they're feeling. They're
Yep.
living at large in that house.
Yeah. So Ty says, look, once the noms are done, we will have all the power in this house. We are set. Ty talks about Renee a little bit. He had just been talking to her. He says he feels like Renee is a good person to have. In fact, he encourages Hope to work on Renee because Renee feels good about Hope. They're essentially working on their little pieces, and we've seen this story before. Rob says that he would love for their people, like, for instance, Shanaya, to win HOHs and take shots for them. They will act as bodyguards for the people who are taking shots. You can't get to that person because we're in the way and we're big and muscly. And they're going to do our dirty work while we stand here and protect them. Now, again, we heard from Vanessa that Shanaya said that she would like to target Zach. But from Rob's perspective, Shanaya would do their dirty work for them. Very different perspectives. I wonder which one is correct. Probably the one that disappoints you more. Hope and Rob both mention Daniel. They say they like Daniel. They think he's somebody that will come to them and want to work with them and win stuff for them. I very much doubt that, but that's their perspective. Hope talks about how hard this game is. Man, this is so hard. It's not fun like it is on the show. It's not like they make it out to be.
I don't know what you thought you signed up for, Hope, but it's pretty much gonna be 70 days of a lot for you. I said preseason, I felt like Hope was someone who was gonna pick the game up, have the high energy. This is not the Hope that was advertised for me. I didn't think I was gonna see a Hope like this in the house. So he's gonna have a tough time there, Taran.
Yeah. So we're starting to get kind of a sense of where this house is at the moment, seemingly. We're going to move on to Claudia and Santina. This is their second conversation of this drop. Claudia says similar things that she was trying to say to Santina in the first conversation, but Santina wasn't really responding to. She says, again, same thing stands. I want to have my person in this house, and I want that person to be you. She talks about how she knows Santina is close with Ty. She likes Ty. That's fine. Claudia, this reeks to me of Claudia trying the stuff that Kuzi and JM are talking about, and Santina giving her nothing. Claudia asks if Santina feels at peace with her decision for nominations. Again, just trying to open up the strategic conversation in any way. And Santina says, yeah, after noms, I think it'll make a lot of sense to people. So, and Claudia's like, great. I love it. And I told you before, I will support whatever decision you make. She's trying. She's trying. The only people that we see Santina open up to in any meaningful way are, in fact, the only person that she opens up to in any meaningful way is Zach. So she doesn't really talk game with anybody else, it seems.
Unbelievable. Maybe John Michael had it right when John Michael said we shouldn't win this, right? We don't need to win this because, my God, it's like trying to open a jar, but your hands are a little clammy and you're just failing every time. And it's so easy. It's so easy. You just need to open it, get all the information out, get the content. You cannot do that with Santina. She's keeping a tight lid on this, or she's already spoken about it with a couple people. We didn't see those conversations. We're seeing the very difficult ones here where she's not opening up to Claudia, to Kuzi, to literally anyone else. I'm so mad that because
she's playing so coy with the nominations for no reason.
It's week 1. No one cares. If you just put it out there, no one's going to blame you. It's not a big, but if you try and whatever, it's fine. Taran, so before we got the daily last night, I didn't think we were going to get them. And I was trying to read the edit of the episode because I have nothing else left to do. And I thought Zach's getting a lot of content here. Could he potentially be the target? That's where I was leaning. It feels anything but that now. Yeah. And the Kim Kardashian of Ottawa is thriving, and I am not.
All right. Well, Shanaya is going to have a conversation with Renee in case you weren't depressed enough. Shanaya is relaying a conversation about a conversation she had with, I presume, Rob. They never actually named the guy, but I think they're talking about Rob, and how they had a conversation about trusting each other, working together. She says she brought up to him that the guys might need to disperse a bit more because they're being seen together a lot. AKA, you guys look like you're really working together. So you should probably chill so that you don't get targeted, because I think I'm actually with some of you. So yay. They talk about how they think this group can work. And this is what was the name of the resort, or the Kyle Moore side alliance with,
oh God, was it
Jace
the retreat?
The retreats, yes. Big retreat energy from this. Oh yeah, we've got this group can work. Like, you are a side alliance. This is like, I don't know anything about this house, and just from the way you're talking about it, I can tell it's a side alliance. Jonathan is included in this. They said they trust Jonathan as well. Renee says, I think this is a great game move for all of us. And so they said they'll get this group together. It brings a bunch of different things to the table. Nobody will suspect it. Yeah, because it's a side alliance.
Yeah, and one last line here that really bugs me. Mentioning that, this is a good alliance. We can ride this out. It'll eventually come down to who is winning comps.
Yep.
It's day 5. It's day 5. You've had one comp. You cannot be thinking comps right now. You have no idea what these comps are. You have no idea if the people you have are going to even be good for your... Move on, Taran. I'll let you go.
Shanaya says after her conversation last night, she was like, "Oh, you're here to play, Rob." I think Rob still. And this is the thing that really Renee says. Well, with his looks, he can get information. And they also talk about Zach a little bit. Renee says, "I love Zach. He's great." And Shanaya's like, "Yeah, I think he's fine." Like, I don't think that Shanaya is anti-Zach. I think that whenever that occurred, it is no longer the case for Shanaya. At least that's what it appears to be in this conversation. So, the guys, they've got that side thing going over there. They've got the Santina thing going over here. And we will see where all of that leads us. We do get a conversation between John Michael, Zach, and Rob. John Michael, Zach, and Dan, I should say.
Yes.
And we saw some of them in the episode. And I mentioned in the recap that it felt like perhaps they thought they were working together. That's why JM felt comfortable telling Zach that he would go after the guys, because he actually thinks he's working with them. That does appear to be the case to a degree. They are in the pool room. And this is the group. It started with Dan saying,
"Hey, I like you, by the way,"
to Zach, and then JM walks in, and they're like, "Oh, we're still talking, and that means we trust you," which wasn't awkward at all. JM says we should think about numbers. We don't have to have a strict alliance, but I think that it's important to know that we have each other's backs. It's clear now to me that JM has been trying to get something solidified with Zach and Dan, and they have been, or at least Zach has been, kind of like, we don't need anything formal. We don't need to put labels on this. We're just having fun, It's just a casual thing. And when I dump you in a couple days, that'll make it okay.
Yeah. So I guess JM at one point had said something about wanting to like go hard for the veto if he's picked, or like play the veto. And Zach's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. Like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not even saying I'm playing the game. I'm not doing any of that," which we know is BS, because obviously he is playing and there are other people. So this should be the biggest indicator to JM that, hey, if they're not playing ball with you day 5, they might not want you on the court, period. Like, you might be on the side.
Yeah, this gave me terrible vibes. That Zach is like, "I don't think there's any reason to stress. I think we should take Santina at her word." And he's like, "Listen, JM, you're kind of messing this up. All right, when you say you're gonna try for the veto, like when you were like, I like to play this game traditionally. I like to win things and save my allies. Like, dude, you're just putting more stress on the people who are trying to work with you. And so you just got to stop with that, okay?" And I was watching this live on Twitch, and I immediately this is giving me massive gaslighting vibes. Like,
oh yeah,
if I don't even know, I don't know anything about what's happened, where people actually stand. But if I'm in this conversation, I am getting the worst vibes. Why are you trying to make me feel like I've done something wrong? It's very clear to me that that Zach is prepping JM for, it's your fault that I betrayed you. Right?
100%.
For
100%.
no good reason, like saying that you want to win the veto. Now, and it makes even more sense why he might have said something like that when we find out that Dan says, yeah, because I'm going up on the block. Dan says, my ideal situation is that I win the veto myself and take myself off because we wouldn't want you to win the veto and take me off, JM. That would be dumb. And Zach says, well, why even come off at all? Nobody's going to vote you out, Dan. And Dan's like, yeah, I don't know. I guess so. The brain power in this room is bursting at the seams. Dan says, we just need to chill. Dan basically is just agreeing with everything that Zach says, which, I don't know anything about Dan's game, but this gave me a terrible impression of it, considering the fact that Dan is currently the one being used as the expendable pawn to go up on the block to potentially backdoor somebody. And he's just parroting everything that Zach says to JM, who wants to win the veto and use it on him. And he's mad about that. So
choices.
Dan, by the way, sorry, is Zabo.
Dan Zabo,
yes.
the DJ. Yeah, so he's the one person we know is nominated or will be nominated since nominations haven't happened. We don't know who the other is.
Yes. So Zach just continues to say, JM, you really screwed up by saying you do. He keeps bringing it up. JM is going to apologize multiple times. I shouldn't have said that I would use the veto on my ally. That's a dumb thing that I shouldn't have done. And so, and this is the sort of thing that, like, without feeds, without context, like in the first week of the show, they will portray this as like, look at JM really stuck his foot in his mouth, right? Saying he'd go after guys, talking about using vetoes on allies. And we'd get it all from Zach's perspective, from Zach in the diary room, about how JM screwed this up. And if JM had just acted differently, then he would have been fine, completely ignoring the fact that all the bros came together and decided to exclude him sight unseen. Right. So, that's so happy that, for the sake of the house guests, we don't have live feeds.
Yeah. John Michael talked about how the start of the season is going to be like high school. And unfortunately, it's very much high school. And he's on the outside looking into the cool kids club who are the dumb ones.
Mm-hmm. So that seems to be where we are with that. Now, Kuzi is the last real conversation of the night is going to be Kuzi going up to Santina in the HOH room. And Kuzi, it's difficult to properly assess exactly what she's doing here, but I will tell you what I think she's doing. Kuzi is concerned that Santina might try to target JM. And after her long conversation with JM, where they talked about how dumb it would be for Santina to make that move, I think Kuzi feels like, okay, why don't I tell Santina about all of this and how dumb it would be for her to make that move? That will, discourage her from making that move, right? I think that's where her head is at when she starts this conversation. You'll see the results is not quite, I think, what she intended. Kuzi says to Santina, well, if I were in your position, I would put up somebody strong. Somebody strong. I'm scared to say this, but I was having a conversation with a certain somebody, and I don't want to say who, but they were saying that they felt like you might put them up. And there are a few small things that, to me, indicate where Santina might be leaning. One of those things is initially here, Santina is saying, well, who are you talking about? Who is worried that I might put them up? And at first, Kuzi isn't saying. She says, well, just saying, in the case that you have to make a big move or a bigger move, I just wanted to make sure that you know that you need to secure a safety net. You need to make sure that you have a group backing you, because I don't want things to go wrong for you. And she names John Michael. She says, okay, it's John Michael. JM is the person I was talking to. He's worried that he might go up. And I'm not trying to rat him out or anything. I'm just trying to say that if you did make that move, I think that people would be mad, and that you really need to make sure you have people backing you up. Santina is not phased at all at the drop of JM. JM is seemingly the name she was expecting to hear. And she's not like, what? Why would JM be worried? She's not like, oh, I can't believe he would say that. She's not even like, oh, JM, weird. She's like, right, JM, he's worried. Of course he is. And Kuzi here again is like, I think she's trying to like be like, in case you're thinking about targeting JM, just know that I was talking to JM and he's gonna tell people about how shady you are if you do that. He didn't say that exactly, but he said something like, and that would be bad for you in this game. So just think about it and just make sure that if you do this move, like you've got support. And I again, I think she's trying to be like, don't do this move. It's a dangerous, risky move. But I think the reality is she's saying to Santina, like, don't do this unless you have backup. And Santina's like, ha, 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 little do you know, I was told to do this by my backup.
Right. It all it does is kind of reaffirm to Santina, oh, so if I was to do that, I got to have a good landing spot. All right, I already have the landing spot. Okay, cool. And that's really how it felt like to me as well. I do think Kuzipo is probably coming in trying to push it elsewhere. I don't think Kuzi may notice that this is now an avenue that Santina can take without worrying twice.
Yeah. So Kuzi says, I just don't want JM to get people to go against you. I'm not saying don't put him up. If you want to put him up, put him up. I'll support it. This was the even bigger indicator to me that JM could be in some trouble here, because when Kuzi says, if you want to put him up, put him up. And Santina's like, yeah, great. And Kuzi's like, I'll support it. And she's like, woo, yes, all right. She's like, okay. Santina says she had the only conversation she feels she's had with JM was that he made her a sandwich and kissed her ass a bit. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, I mean, remember, the one piece of information we had going into the dailies was that the two of them promised each other safety. So that was there. Sounds like that has faded a little bit since. And I did what I did like about Kuzi's conversation with Santina here was trying to reaffirm that, hey, I want you to look out for you. I want you to be in a good landing spot. I don't want your HOH reign to go bad for you. I want it to set you up for later, which can come off like you are looking out for them. Now, the tough part for me is I cannot read Santina. I just cannot read Santina. I don't know if she cared about anything that Kuzi said here. Like you said earlier, the one person she seemed to be having a more open combo with and she was sharing was Zach. So I don't know where her head is at. I don't know if her and Kuzi are at a good level of friendship. I don't think it's a great sign that Kuzi had to start the conversation by saying, oh yeah, and your earlier question, I put up someone strong. I feel like that answer not happening in that room in the first combo may have already set these two off in a bad spot. So we'll see what any of this means. I think all this does is kind of further affirm that potentially JM is the target of a backdoor here. And I think there's enough people that would push that. And I think that's what could happen if the veto does get used on Zabo or whoever the second nom is.
Yeah, this conversation to me gave me big same vibes that I talked about with like Ty and Rob and Zach, where like except sort of like this is like middle management, like flush with power, you know what I mean? Like Santina was kind of like, listen, I know what's going on in this game. And I've got a plan. Things are gonna make sense to you eventually. Because Kuzi asked about nominations, and Santina's like, "Look, there's a POV, so let's just wait until that point." And Kuzi's like, "Okay, but POV, would you want things to stay the same?" And Santina's like, "For now, yeah." And Kuzi's like, "Are the people you put up your targets?" It's like, they're not my targets. What does that mean? I guess we're gonna have to see. I feel like I'm making a smart move, though.
I hate it here. Just spit it out. Please, we don't have time. We literally are running out of runtime. It's 2 hours, 25 minutes. We have 7 minutes. Say something.
That was about it. That was about
Yeah.
it. We did not get any more from that conversation.
Nope.
So that's really like, that is everything that we got, including the Pooya mentioned the Daniel quick little statement to the cameras. So that's all we have to go off of. Based on all of that, you sort of, I think, have already been given the perspective. This could be wrong, but the best read that I have on it so far, the basics are that we have this 5-person guy alliance: Zach, Rob, Ty, Hope, and Jonathan. They have roped in Santina. They have roped in Renee and Shanaya. And they are going to be having Santina nominate Dan Zabo and one other pawn, potentially Anika, but I'm not sure. And the plan is to probably backdoor somebody, and that somebody is probably JM. And that seems to be where things are. Vanessa, I think, is another name that could be that theoretically a pawn, but again, with the bedroom stuff, that might not be the case. And honestly, I don't know exactly how Zach feels about Zabo or where Zabo stands, why he's being nominated as a pawn. It would not surprise me if he is the backup target. If they're hoping to take, shots at guys that aren't in their group. But it also would not surprise me if he's just kind of like a foot soldier that they're using, and they would vote out maybe whoever else is up on the block.
Yeah, that's kind of where we are left with here. I want to point out, Taran, that so last night when the dailies went up, this was the lower third on the the caption on it. Missed it on the live feeds. Lol. Get caught up with Big Brother Canada Digital Dailies Monday to Friday. They have since updated that, and now it just says get caught up with Big Brother Canada Digital Dailies. So Monday to Friday has been removed. One of two things can happen. Either we are now going to get one every day, and they just removed it, because why would you say Monday to Monday, right? That's the good part, maybe. Bad news is it could be a little bit more willy-nilly. Okay, you're not going to get one today. Come back tomorrow. Oh, not today. Oh, 3 p.m. Here's one. So they've either taken it where they can do whatever they want, or we're just going to get one every day. But we still do not know what time these are going to drop, if they're going to be consistently dropped at the same time. We don't know. One other thing, I did see a lot of people on the internet complaining about ads. Oh my God, there's so many ads every couple minutes. I will tell you this. I did not have your experience. I was able to not see any ads. Make sure you find the right blocker for you.
Yeah.
There's different ones out there.
Yeah. I can see it now. Like, how some people have like sick days, they take the day off. I feel like Big Brother Canada, they might just have oh, sorry, this was a racism day. Got to take the day off from the showing you what happens. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Oh, someone said that a bad word. All right. Tune in later. Tune in tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. So that's about what we have for you from this first drop. We will continue to see where things progress from here. There will maybe be another one today at some point. Who knows? If there is, then I'll be back at some point to discuss what it is. That's kind of where we're at this point. So for now, stay subscribed, because who knows when these will drop. And you want to be notified when they do, or when we go live. You can also find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. I'll be watching this stuff. I watched this whole thing live last night. If you want to see my immediate initial reactions, check that out. And I'm also, of course, watching the episodes live with all of you. I'm also going to be live with Hannah Chada in just about an hour and a half. If you were watching this live, it's 1:30 Eastern, to talk about Survivor. do the Survivor Stock Watch. So you can tune in for that as well. And The Last of Us finale coming up this weekend. I'll be talking with Grace, the Video Game Club podcast, to all about a show that's actually good. So, Pooya, what do you got going on?
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Pooyaism, and then you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. I do have a lot of content coming down here in the month of March, including obviously our weekly Sunday lobbies where we get together at 5 p.m. and suss each other, accuse each other. We make good feeds there. You can check that out. We have fun there. It's always a good time. And then as far as podcasts go, 90 Day Fiance, I had Brian Scally on this week. It was a good time. Masked Singer with Liana, we're having fun there. We have shenanigans there. Check that one out. Bel Air has started, so Chappelle and I are talking about it on post-show recaps. Also pretty fun show. And the funnest of shows right now, in my opinion, is Australian Survivor. I got to talk about it with Rob and Shannon Gus last night. Find that on YouTube. Check it out. It was a very fun experience. And I want to leave you with a note, okay? And I'm not Julie Chenning this, so do not do this in the comments where you call me Julie Chen. But we're up for rough roads ahead. It's going to be rough terrain. None of us are happy with what we're getting here. Let's be real. Let's keep it 100. At the end of the day, we can only take this journey together for it to be the best possible experience. So when you see these updates, tune in, because we'll give you the stuff that we watch if you don't want to watch them, so you don't have to go through them. And we'll laugh at the pain together. We'll laugh through it together. Let's just do that.
Let's just do that. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time, whenever that is.